It's like a blank cheque.
My name's Greg Herb and I'm from the Australian Monarchist League, and I'd like to thank the ACM and Gary Morgan for putting this on, because it's very, very useful for all of us, and we're both working for a similar goal too, and that's to make sure that the Crown controls our democracy, and through that controls our politicians, actually. But look, my question is directed to you, Gary. You did state there how, in regard to, we don't need rich people, right? We do need some very rich people within Australia, mainly because they're the people who do generate employment and opportunities. If we don't have some rich people in Australia, we have so many of our companies taken over from overseas. And this has happened, and unfortunately when we oppose this, as I do, you do not have the opportunity, because you have those from overseas which have bought into the company to take it over to make a profit very quickly. You also have our superannuation, which all of us put our money into, and they work on a 3-month approach. They want to be the highest on the lists in 3 months, so they will never vote in the national interest. They'll only vote for what is best for their company that they support, their superannuation fund. So we cannot have really effective takeover that is in the Australian national interest. But if we do have some rich people, at least we get like Forrester, who spoke out very strongly wanting 50,000 Aborigines working in the mining industry.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. If I can answer that. Firstly, I didn't say I don't believe in rich people.
No.
I believe everyone should be able to accumulate wealth if they wish to.
Right.
What I did say, and what Michelle Levine did comment, is that corporate greed is an issue which is raising its head.
Yeah.
You have to wonder whether managing directors of banks, which are government guaranteed, deserve the remuneration packages they get. Don't be conned by share remunerations in shares. Is not part of their remuneration or their salary. It's just a way of dodging a bit of tax. The issue is that many of our corporate leaders today are paid massive salaries with no responsibility. When the company doesn't make a profit, they still take their bonuses. Right. So I think it's leading to a disaster, and what Michelle Levine, she mentioned that. But at the same time, we mentioned that there's public service greed. When the tax commissioner wants his salary raised from $500,000 to $800,000 a year, it's a joke. When the employees in the tax office are only going to get 3%. Yeah. Then you have greed in the local government. Lord Mayor Doyle gets his salary from being the Lord Mayor. He gets a salary from being president of the Melbourne Hospital. He gets his superannuation from being previously a politician. He gets free trips overseas, and he takes a chauffeur-driven car. What a joke. So you've got corporate greed in every division of Australia amongst some of the workers, in some of the wage demands. They're outrageous. They're out of keeping with what they deserve. What I'm saying is we need a fairer community, and we need everyone on both sides, both wealthy people and people who are just normal working class people, to participate in the wealth of the country. Now I want to make one last point which is important. When Bill Shorten and Martin Ferguson say we only have a limited amount of resources in this country, that is absolute rubbish. We have more iron ore in this country than we can possibly mine in the next 20,000 years. There's more iron ore in the world than we can possibly use. There's masses of iron ore in Afghanistan, better quality than we have in Australia, which I'm sure the Chinese would like more than Australian. What we want to do is, at the present time, we need massive infrastructure in this country which requires overseas investment. We do not have the money in Australia to do it, so we want overseas companies coming here and developing our mines and making more money for Australia. These companies pay tax, which they do, and I believe they're good for Australia. So what is wrong is corporate greed. That is the point I'm making. And I praise Andrew Forrest. He's a wonderful man. He's done a great job. Also, I praise Rupert Murdoch for what he's done on a worldwide basis. And it's unfortunate in his later years in his life, he's got this outrageous scandal going on in England. But we have some very successful Australians, and I'm proud of them, and I want everyone to be wealthy. Thank you.
Thanks. And the reason why I thought you'd take that tract, and I totally agree with what you were saying along it, and that is, and this leads to my question, or perhaps hope, and that is, I want to see some polls done in regard to foreign ownership, but perhaps rather than foreign ownership, it could be on supporting Australian champions and Australian companies, questions that you could devise around that. So we are putting it out to the politicians that they should be looking at and supporting Australian champions.
We all agree with that.
Okay.
We want more Australian companies in America and England and Europe. That's what we want.
Could I just, Joey, could I just ask one question?
If I value my job.
There seems to be an interesting coalescence between a conservative group and, to use a better term, progressive. That is in relation to coal seam gas mining. You have the farmers and you have the Greens, and there's an interesting alliance forming across the country. There's the Lock the Gate movement, for example. Is this something that you've noticed, and what impact will it have?
I think the issue is one that's just starting, it's really just starting to emerge as an issue that people are engaging with. I think there'll be some scaremongering to come, so there'll be fears about it from all different angles, and that will all be discussed. But I think this is one that we haven't, hasn't yet opened up for real public consideration.
I agree with that. There's more coal seam. The coal seam gas in America means now that America is self-sufficient in gas for the next 500 years or more. The point is, though, that a lot of it's only been discovered. I think the real issue is it shows new technology can make enormous wealth. If I can finish on this final note, there's more coal seam gas in Australia than we'll ever need. And it's probably enough to supply the whole world, and I agree with Michelle and everyone that it's going to be an issue because we don't know a lot about it. We don't know a lot about the science of coal seam gas.
And the losers won't like it, and they'll raise some other issues. It'll be great fun.
It'll be fun. But let me make the point, as I mentioned, there's more coal in Australia. There's more gold in Australia than the world's ever produced. There's more nickel in Australia than the world's produced. We have masses of mineral wealth. It all is to do with new technology. And what we want to do is be the leaders in new technology, new ways of thinking, and lead Australia into the world, being progressive, not being negative, as so many politicians are today.